On my screen right now is a $5.185 million e-commerce business, specifically in the fashion vertical. And this didn't happen because we ran TikTok shops or because, we had some fancy method that works for 1 or 2 weeks. No. This is Facebook ad fundamentals that work so well, the exact systems that we use to scale all the brands that we scale. And it's also Google Ads fundamentals that allowed us to scale so much. In fact, most of this revenue is driving directly from Google Ads while Facebook is supporting the whole system. So in this video, I'm just going to break down the exact strategies, the exact structures that we use to scale a living blank out of this business really, really quickly. Now, one thing you might notice here is that when you start to just look at these sales columns, you'll actually notice that we had a huge February, March, and then kind of a little bit of dip in the last few months. This fashion business specifically does really, really, really well in the winter months. So this is to be expected. Year over year, these are such wildly significant changes. So it's pretty hard to compare the year over year. So even though November only drove $446,000, we were able to keep beating November all of 2024. Honestly, the expectation is that we take this brand from over the last 12 months, 5 million to the next 12 months, at least to 8 to 10 million, which is such fast growth over just the course of 1 year for a e-commerce fashion brand in a really tough market. Next piece here is that they drove 629 online store sessions at a 1.1 conversion rate. This just screams to the fact of how critical it is to have high converting stores, right? Right now, there's so much we're going to break down on Facebook and Google, but really, you have to focus on your conversion rate because it is so much harder to drive qualified traffic to your website. And even though we're scaling every single month in terms of our traffic, we do drop it off a little bit. We start to spend less in these summer months, as I just mentioned. But the core of this, it's not like it's spiked up, right? It's not like it's shot all the way through the roof and all of a sudden we're spending, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of more dollars. We're just spending more steadily, and this conversion rate is holding, which is so key. So this e-commerce store really focused on their conversion rate, which allowed us to scale. It was a huge part of the scaling process. The next thing you're going to notice is that our total orders climbed every single month. And they even were higher in some of these summer months compared to some of these high winter months that we saw here. So even though the sales were higher in February and March, actual number of orders was slightly lower. Same thing applies here. In May, June, July, August, and so on, in these months here, the business changes because summer items are generally much cheaper than winter items. For fashion, they're often smaller, they're not hoodies, their perceived value is lower if you're just buying shirts, skirts, dresses, heels, etc. And their actual value is lower too. So we see our orders go up, or we see our sales go down, which is a very inverse relationship to what we normally see. However, come this winter coming up, we're going to see the exact opposite change. We're going to see our average order value, which we can see here, trend down. We're going to see this spike right back up again because in January and February, our average order value would be around $550 to $650 as opposed to the summer months when it's only $350. So really an uphill battle. The next piece here that I love to break down, I think this is so key to break down, is our returning customer rate. We have a 26% returning customer rate. What this means is over the last 12 months, people that have purchased from this business have come back 26% of the time. This is very average. It's decent. It doesn't blow us away. But what I think the key thing is here is that the blue section is new customers. The purple is returning. What this indicates to me very, very clearly is that we're acquiring more customers than the customers are returning. We are the engine for this business. First thing I'm going to do is actually start on the Google ad side. Now, I'm going to get into the Facebook end. I'm going to get into every single campaign we ran and really what we're focused on now. But I want to start on the Google side because this side of the house is crazy good. First off, just taking a look at the last full 365 days, we have spent in this account $361,000 to drive, please sound the alarms here. We have driven $1,642,000 in revenue for this business on $360,000 in spend. That is a 4.54 return on ad spend at a cost per acquisition of $60. This is bonkers. This is through the roof. This is crushing in the fashion space. Now, how exactly did we do this? We did this with two primary campaigns. What you're going to see down here is just a storefront campaign. And in fact, I'm just going to filter it out because it's not necessary and it's literally to drive people to a store. So I'm just going to filter it out so you guys can see everything properly. These two campaigns, again, $350,000 spent, $1,639,000 in revenue, 4.65 return on ad spend, $80 cost per acquisition. Really crazy strong. And what's crazier is the conversion rate here is 1.52%, which actually beats the average online store conversion rate. Think about that. How rare is it that your advertising actually beats your overall conversion rate? It's extremely rare. What that means is we're hitting the right people at the right time on the right platforms. I'm going to break down how this works. We did this with 2 campaigns. And the reason we did this only with 2 campaigns is because we kept it simple. It worked. So while some people might get caught up in, I want to have the next strategy, the next one, add. Do you know where we added? We added in budget. We just kept pushing the budget higher and higher and higher every time it was working. And we kept it simple. If ROAS was a little bit too low, we pulled back the budget, we increased the target ROAS. So we had the seesaw of an increasing and decreasing target return on ad spend. But what I need you to take away from this is you don't need this massive account. Sometimes if it's working, just keep doing it and keep doing it aggressively. It works, so keep hitting it. What we have here is a Performance Max campaign and a standard shopping campaign. The Performance Max campaign is probably the most common campaign these days. What this campaign is focused on is driving everything, everywhere, all the time. I can't even explain how easy this campaign is to run for us. In this case, in this Performance Max campaign, if we actually go into the campaign itself and look inside the asset groups, you're gonna notice here that we primarily run everything on an evergreen asset group. This is an asset group that is driving the majority of the business. But what we want to actually do is go into the listing groups here, because this is going to show you the breakdowns of things. So this site is actually broken down into a variety of different collections. Like I said, they're a fashion brand. They have everything from shoes to dresses to shirts to pants, you name it. But what they also have is a final sale section. This is anything that's either ending of a season. So if it's winter time, these are the summer items. If it's summer, these are the winter items. If shoes have one stock left, or if they just want to move a product out real quick, because in the fashion industry, as all of you fashion operators know, SKUs go quick, products go quick, turnovers quick. What's hot now is only hot for a period. What we have here in we're letting the Performance Max campaign do is hit the final sale. So everything in the Performance Max campaign is very much focused on sale items. This campaign spent $126,000 on our listing groups to drive $659,000 in revenue. Crazy. So what we're monitoring in this campaign is all of the search term insights and the search term categories first. It's the easiest thing we want to do. What we want to make sure is that our brand name isn't capturing all the value. We want to make sure that for the most part, this Performance Max campaign is driving net new customers for us. I can tell you right away, it so is beyond any expectation. This campaign, as I mentioned before, but just over the last 30 days has driven $30,000 in conversion value. And then if we actually look down to how much the brand name, I know you can't see the brand name, but this first search category is the brand search category, and it's only driven $1,400 in total value. We're talking a very small percentage here, not really concerned with it. We're talking about 4 or 5%. That's great, right? We're happy with what it's doing there. The next thing that we always want to look at is our auction insights. So I'm constantly taking a look, not really on the search side, but more on the shopping side, if there's any big competitors that are showing up at the same time as us. Now, really, really good insight. And again, I know you can't see all these stores, but these are some of the biggest names in fashion, literally the biggest names in fashion. If you ask most people if they know of these stores, 9 out of 10 would know every single store on this list. Now, you could see just by the sheer volume of these auction insights, how many competitors are. There's 42, as you can see down here. That is a lot. That's a long list of people bidding on the same terms of us. But we dominate the impression share. We are above every single brand in this impression share, and that's why we're able to win. We are outranking, we are overlapping heavily. We're doing a really, really, really strong job with this single Performance Max campaign of having some of the highest impression share compared to all of our competitors for the specific products that are in this Performance Max campaign. The next thing that this campaign specifically is doing for us, as I mentioned, it's driving individual product sales. So what we're doing on a consistent basis is we're changing which products are available here. You can see in some cases they're not eligible. That's because we sold through that product in completion, because everything here is on final sale. So we're constantly updating what's available in here, and we're always just taking a look and making sure that there's no outliers in here. Everything is actually on sale. Everything is clean within this campaign. Now, the next piece and the second campaign that we have that's active is our standard shopping campaign. So clicking into our standard shopping campaign, this one is even going to be more simple too. We are running 3 different breakdowns and then a second variation of the sale that I just mentioned. So as we can see here, this campaign in total drove $782,000, nearly $783,000 in revenue over the last year. And almost every single one of these breakdowns returns at a very, very similar target return on ad spend and a very similar actual return on ad spend. We have everything set between 450 and then the sale all the way down to 300. But check out the actual return on ad spend. They're all very, very close to the average of 4.31, which is what we want, right? We want these to be spending in the proper allocations. Now, this is a big catalog brand. So this brand in particular has hundreds, actually thousands of different products. Because of this, we have different segments broken out by price point. So what we've done here is we've created a low price point. So this is basically anything under a certain threshold. We have a medium, which is between the 2 thresholds, and then we have a high, which is obviously everything above. And then the 4th ad group that we have here is the sale ad group. This is anything that's marked as on sale. So we're duplicating this. We have this going 2 times in both the original shopping campaign and in the Performance Max campaign. So some people get concerned about this. Some people say, wow, why would you have the same thing running in 2 different campaigns? Here's what happens. This sale ad group, which is the one at the bottom here, has only 230,000 impressions compared to all the other breakdowns that are not available in Performance Max that have 3 million, 2 million, and 3 million. What this tells me very simply is Performance Max gets the priority, and all this is doing is just filling the cracks. And guess what? It works. I think that's the core here. If it works, don't mess with it. Right? It's working. Let's not do everything for organizational purposes. Let's do it because it's actually functioning and it's actually driving the business forward. So the 2 campaigns, as I mentioned, a standard shopping and a Performance Max campaign. Now, as I've said a few times now, we are sticking to this strategy because it has scaled this business beyond expectations, right? It has worked so well. 4.5 ROAS, $1.6 million in revenue this year for this business, specifically only through Google Ads. However, if you wanted to add on, if you were thinking, hey, I want to try a non-brand campaign or I want to try different things, what I would generally recommend is a branded search campaign here. So you could add a branded search campaign to the bottom here. It's been a big consideration of ours. And if you wanted to, you could add a non-brand search campaign. But be warned that when you add these things, your 2 core campaigns, if they're working for you already, are going to get shooken up a little bit. They're going to steal conversions. Everything's going to be a little bit mismatched. This setup works super well for us. And there's one thing in this setup that I think is unique. So because we're running both the shopping and the Performance Max campaign, most people would say, why are you spending more or just as much on the shopping campaign when Performance Max is driving a higher return on ad spend? It's actually pretty simple. We tested this multiple times throughout the year and the year before. What we found is that when we run both of these together, our overall return on ad spend and our ability to scale goes way up. When we just run one of these independently, that goes significantly down, right? So if we just ran Performance Max on its own, what we might see is that the Performance Max ROAS now starts to lower. So what we think our hypothesis is on this is Performance Max steals some of the data-driven conversions. It makes it look better because it wants you to invest more in Performance Max right now. But who cares? If they both work together, great. It's a good relationship. You have one that could be on search, display, shopping, Gmail, etc. And you have another campaign that's purely for shopping, which is the core of a fashion brand in most cases. Excellent. They both work together. They're getting well above the target return on ad spend that we actually have, which is around 3 for this brand. We're getting 4.65 and we're scaling again beyond those expectations. So let's move on to the Facebook side. So on the Facebook side, what you're going to notice right off the rip is that we have spent $159,000 to drive $594,000 in purchase conversion value, aka revenue. And we've done it at a 4.35 return on ad spend. Now, this is a little bit of a different story. First thing you'll notice is that 4.35 aligns very closely with what we're getting in Google, right? It's very, very similar. However, this is a little different. The reason this is different is because on the Google side, it was super simple, right? On the Google side, we ran 2 campaigns all year. We figured out early that it worked and we were happy. Everything was great. On this side, this strategy has changed so much, so many times. So this was a much different story. As you can tell, we had to test a variety of different campaigns. We tried everything under the sun here. We tried multiple different Advantage Plus strategies. We had catalog strategies running. We had high value and click only purchases. We were doing a lot, right? We were doing a lot of different strategies to try to figure out what would work here. And just to give you an idea, if we actually break this down by month and we look at all of the accounts over the past year, we could see that while our spend obviously increased. So this is the oldest period. This is last year, 2023. This is our revenue here. So our revenue went from about 20,000 and then we started to catch a little wind up to the 50s in the month of November. We saw the winter do really well, as you probably could tell from the beginning of this video, and then boom, right here in April, we struck a chord. We found the structure and strategy that, again, I preach all the time on this YouTube channel. We found the structure that works the best. So look, first off, if you want the detail of the structure that works the best, click the video down in the description or click the video here. It is my structure guide. It's what we use with nearly every single brand that we work with, and it gets significant results. And what it did for this brand in particular was we first kept spend flat. So we went from 10,000 spend to 9,881, essentially the same spend. But check out this revenue. Revenue went from 33,000 to 51,000. ROAS went from 3.44 to 6.21. And this is March to April. That's 3.1 to 4.1. Check this out. What happened to sales during this period? March to April. Sales were down during this period. Now you might say, whoa, why were sales down? Isn't the advertising driving it? Yes. The advertising is only driving $20,000 difference, right? 33 to 51, about $18,000 difference. But what I'm trying to say here is that this ROAS is not a result of just seasonality. This is a fundamental shift in our strategy where we actually reached significantly higher value people because of the way we were targeting, because of the way we were set up. You could also see this in the reach, right? We're spending the same amount month over month here, but our reach goes down by about 19,000 or 20,000 people. Again, you might say, whoa, that's like a big difference. We see our clicks, which are right here. Clicks go from 8,200 to 4,000. Whoa, that's a big difference, right? That's a huge difference in clicks. But guess what? That is a huge difference in clicks because they are so much more valuable. These clicks became more valuable. The long story short here is that if we were to look at this from this period onward, our return on ad spend is so much higher. So I'll actually show you the comparisons because I think they're pretty remarkable, to be honest with you. So I'm going to grab us from April 1st through the end of last month, and I'm going to compare it to the previous period. And what we saw during these periods is if you look all the way down here, our spend was exactly the same. Of $73,000 we spent $274 more. That's nearly identical spend. But check out the return on ad spend and check out the revenue. Same amount of spend, 63.87% increase in value, which is a $133,000 difference. So we went from spending $72,000 to drive $209,000 to spending $73,000, which is literally $300 more, and driving $343,000 in revenue. Return on ad spend, when we break this out, went from a 3.43 to a 5.49. That's a 60% increase by implementing the strategy. Again, you can see the full structure down in the description. Let's get rid of some of these breakdowns. Let's get into what's important here. What did we do? What changed? How is this working so well? So what we created here, what we found to work absolutely the best is the very straight up structure of an Advantage Plus scaling campaign, a prospecting CBO campaign, and a retention campaign. So we have our prospecting Advantage Plus campaign here, we have a CBO campaign here, and then we have a retention campaign here. What we also have right here, which is paused currently, is a promo campaign. So whenever this account runs like a specific sale or something's going on, a promotion for like a 3 to 5 day period, we'll run it individually in its own Advantage Plus campaign. It's just like usually works super well. But what I really want you to focus on are these 3 campaigns that I have here, and I'm going to actually pop them up. So these 3 campaigns over the past, 5 months or so, April to August, spent $60,000, $60,933, and they drove $291,000 in revenue at a 5.57 return on ad spend. So this Advantage Plus campaign, we're allowing it to do some retargeting for us, and we're allowing it to do prospecting for us at the same time. It's working really, really well right now, and it's only containing our highest performing creative. So we take the top 10% of creatives from our prospecting CBO and we graduate them into the Advantage Plus campaign. The second thing we do is that whenever we have new creative, new ads, we launch them into unique ad sets within our prospecting CBO campaign. We also launch them with freedom into our retention campaign. Our retention campaign is just anyone who's purchased from us in the past. It's how we just keep a consistent flow of existing purchasers purchasing again and again and again. That's how we did it. I'm going to keep it real simple. That is the exact strategy that we use over the past year. Now, guys, this is a long game sometimes, right? People get caught up. Like a lot of people think they're going to create one little structure, make one little tweak, and their business is going to go to the moon. Let's be realistic. This was a long game. You saw how many changes we made in this ad account alone, right? How many campaigns we tested over the last year. I mean, we're talking dozens, right? Dozens of different campaigns that we ran. But the game is long, right? Looking at the last 12 months for this business, significant amount of total sales. And just to ease your mind on this little decline that we've seen in the summer, taking a look at the last 2 years, we see the same exact trend, right? So we see a big spike during the wintertime, and then we see a huge downfall in the summertime. but we beat last summer. See how much higher this is trending compared to last summer? Crazy differences. The winter is so strong for this business. And when our returning customer rate is continuing to go up, our conversion rate is actually improving. Our total orders are scaling. This is a good situation for this business. They're going to have a monster fourth quarter and a huge 2025. So if you want help scaling your business, if you're doing around $1 million plus right now, go to themoonlighters.com. And if you're under $1 million plus, still go to themoonlighters.com and apply to work with us. If you're a fit, we'll move you through our process and potentially work directly with our team. Now, this is not an easy game. You know it by now. You know you need good operators on your team. You know you need dedicated people who are actually able to scale businesses and who have done it time and time again. That is all for today. Hit me in the comments if you have any questions whatsoever. I try to reply to everything, and thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next one.